This image gives information about language usage proportions. From the picture, we can see there's a lot of numbers and words. The image highlights usage percentage from English, Spanish, and French. This picture is so informative, and the highest figure belongs to German, followed by French, and the lowest figure belongs to English, followed by Chinese. To sum up, the picture tells about language usage proportions in multilingual country.
The given image gives us the information about language usage proportions in a multilingual country. It consists of two main categories, language and usage in the percentage. It consists of x-axis and y-axis. We can see the minimum value and the maximum value. The minimum value is the English, which is about 10%, and the maximum value is the German, which is about 30%. It shows that the different countries have the different kinds of the percentages. In conclusion, we can clearly see that the German is the highest one which use the language usage proportion in a multilingual country, and the English is the lowest one, which is about 10% among all the countries given.
This is a bar graph which explains about the language use and proportion in a multilingual country. It has different countries updated towards the right hand side, which is English, Spanish, French, German, Chinese, and other. Towards the left axis, it has a usage percentage which starts with 0 to 40%. And what we can see here over here is that Germany and French is the one which is about 25%. And the other interesting thing that we can also see here is other, and English is the least dominated one. To conclude, we can also say that French and Germany are the two countries which has been having a usage of proportions of a multilingual country. And this also says that there is a diversification happening in French and German, and you're free to use the language that you are interested.
The bar graph demonstrates information about language usage proportions in the multilingual country. The horizontal x-axis is representing different languages: English, Spanish, French, German, Chinese, and other, whereas the vertical y-axis is representing usage percentage from 0 to 40. As it can be clearly seen that the highest number is German, which is 28%, the lowest number is English, which is 10%. As it can be clearly seen from the graph, the trend is fluctuating. In a conclusion, the bar graph indicates language usage proportions in multilingual country.
The image provided is a bar chart that gives information about language use proportions in a multilingual country. Firstly, I can talk about x-axis, which represents several language names such as English, Spanish, French, German, Chinese, and others. In addition, I can talk about y-axis, which indicates several uses percentages such as 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, up to 40%. After analysis, I can compare the largest amount is Germany, which is 28%. Also, lowest amount is just 10% for English. The Spanish percentage is 15%, and the second highest percentage is French, which percentage is 26%. To sum up, the given bar chart tells about language usage.
The bar graph giving information about language usage proportion in a country. On the x-axis mentioned language English, Spanish, French, German, Chinese, other. On the y-axis highlighted usage percentage 0, 5%, 20%, 15%. The highest area is covered by 30%, which is of Germany. The lowest area is covered by 5%, which is of the English. Overall, the bar graph giving information about language usage proportion in a country.
The image is a bar graph which provides the information about a language usage proportion in a multilingual country. X-axis represent the different languages and y-axis represent different uses of percentage from 0 to 40. It includes the components like English, Spanish, French, German, Chinese, and other. The highest percentage is occupied by the German, which is around 29%, and lowest is occupied by English, which is only 10%. Spanish include 15%, French includes 25%, Chinese includes 20%, and other includes 15%. In sum up, it includes the information.
The bar graph gives information about language usage proportions in multilingual country. X-axis talk about language, whereas y-axis talk about usage percentage in from 0 to 40%. Firstly, it is evident that the maximum value was covered by Germany with more than 25%, whereas French covered less than 30%. Minimum value was covered by English with 10%, other covered 14%, and Chinese covered approximately 21. Overall, to sum up, the bar graph gives information about language usage proportions in multilingual country.
The image provided is a bar chart that gives information about language uses proportions in a multilingual country. Firstly, I can talk about x-axis, which represents several languages such as English, Spanish, French, Germany, Chinese, and others. In addition, I can talk about y-axis, which indicates several uses percentages such as 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, and up to 40%. After analysis, I can compare the largest amount is 29% for German, with the lowest amount just 10% for English. Also, the second highest is French for the 26%. To sum up, the given bar chart tells about language uses proportions.
This is a bar chart showing language usage proportion in a multilingual country. X-axis shows languages like English, Spanish, French, German, Chinese, and other. Y-axis shows usage by percentage. The highest number of people used German as a language, which was 30%. The lowest number was English, which was 10%. Chinese spoken were 20% and Spanish were 15%, while French were 25% and others were 15%. Overall, language use proportions in a multilingual country was good.
The following bar chart describes language usage proportion in a multilingual country. The horizontal axis represents different languages, including English, Spanish, and French. The vertical axis shows the usage percentage. Firstly, German has a highest percentage with nearly 30%. On the other hand, English has the lowest percentage with only 10%, which is very surprising. In conclusion, French has higher percentage than Chinese.
The graph is giving information about the language usage proportion in a multilingual country. In the x-axis, we can see the language English, Spanish, French, German, Chinese, others. On the y-axis, we can see the values 0 to 40. That is the usage percentage. And the highest value is the German, that is round about the 30, between 25 to 30. And the second number is the French, that is above the 25%. So this graph is giving the comparison between the languages. In short, we can say that it is a valuable graph giving information about the language usage proportion in multilingual country.
The image gives information about the language usage. The image also includes language usage proportions in a multilingual country. X axis represent language, y axis represent usage percentage. In the languages, we have different types of languages like English, Spanish, French, German, and Chinese, and others. And in the percentages, it goes from 5, 15, 20 to 25. The highest is the German, and the lowest is the English.
The bar graph gives clear information about the language uses proportion in multilingual country. Therefore, we can say that on the x-axis mentions some percentage between 0, 5, 10, 15, 25, and the last one is 40. On the y-axis, the language mentioned like English, Spanish, French, Germany, Chinese, and the last one is other. The highest value of the bar chart is Germany, which is cover around 25%, and the lowest value of the bar chart is English, which is cover around 10%. Finally, the bar chart mainly focus on the language by the percentage.
The following bar chart shows language use proportions in a multilingual country. The horizontal axis depicts the language, while the vertical axis depicts the usage percentage. The highest goes to Germany at 28%, followed by French at 27%, and then Chinese at 21%. The lowest goes to English at 10%, and other at 12%, and Spanish at 15%. Overall, it's a very clear image showing language use proportions in a country with multiple languages.